There is another new Corvette model coming, and if you thought the already crazy ZR1 was ridiculous, get ready for things to become even crazier because we are getting a ZR1X. What exactly is a ZR1X? Well, it's that rumored top-of-the-line Zora, but instead of the Zora, they're calling it the ZR1X, sitting above the ZR1, and it's essentially taking various components from the Corvette lineup, playing mix and match, and creating a utterly ridiculous vehicle. So the ZR1X, long story short, simplified, it's a hybridized ZR1. It's taking the E-Ray electric front motor and pairing it with the ZR1. But unlike the E-Ray, which makes do with a measly little 6.2 liter V8 with a total output of 655 horsepower, which is plenty healthy, with the ZR1X, you still have that LT7 twin-turbo flat-plane crank from the regular ZR1, which on its own makes 1,064 horsepower, 828 pound-feet of torque. But then you add the electric front motor, but it's not just the E-Ray front motor. They actually increase the power and torque from 160 horsepower to 186 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque to 145 pound-feet of torque. The battery is the same size. It's still 1.9 kilowatt hours, but they increase the usable energy amount by 26%, which allows for more power delivered. Now, remember, this battery hybridized system is not for efficiency. It's not a plug-in hybrid. They don't even quote like an electric range. It is simply for performance. It's like a on-the-go nitrous bottle. You recharge it and you use it. You recharge it, you hit it. It's all for performance. And that means more power for the total combined power output of, wait for it, 1,250 horsepower. Yeah, that's utterly ridiculous. What does that power get you? Well, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, the quarter mile in under 9 seconds at over 150 miles an hour, and I verified this, I asked specifically, that's all on an unprepped surface. It's not like some super sticky prepped drag strip on an unprepped surface. 60 in under 2 seconds, that is utterly insane. Now, top speed is still 233 miles an hour, 225 miles an hour with the higher ZTK aero package, the carbon aero, because of the drag. So the power doesn't necessarily bring any, actually doesn't bring any increase in top speed because the electric motor actually cuts out at 160 miles an hour. And a lot of times with top speed, you're dealing with drag, gearing, tires, there's other restrictions, as if 233 miles an hour is not enough. So same top speed as the regular ZR1, but electric all-wheel drive certainly sounds like it's going to be helping that 0 to 60 time sub 2 seconds, quarter mile in under 9 at over 150 miles an hour. That's pretty insane. The ZR1X is not just about straight line acceleration, although it does have utterly, again, insane acceleration in a straight line. It's also for the performance envelope in electrifying the front axle, just like on the E-Ray, allows them to do a lot of different things. There's some cool little things with the electrical energy strategy. So 3 different modes. There's an endurance mode, which allows you to essentially meter out the energy. So for a longer race, you will always have power. There's a qualifying mode, which that's fun, right? Max power for a ridiculous lap, set a track record, make sure you qualify on pole position. And there's also going to be a push to pass button. You come up on somebody a little slow, you go, boop, I'm going to shoot past you. There's also PTM Pro, that's for all 2026 Corvettes, but it was developed with the ZR1X in mind. So it has things like regen, brake torque vectoring, you have front axle pre-control, all these various things that utilize the front axle to make the ZR1X even more capable, comfortable, usable on track to put that power down. Now, speed is nothing without being able to slow down, right? So there's another new announcement from the ZR1X. They call them J59 brakes. They're an upgraded carbon ceramic brake that will also become an option on the regular ZR1. And they're pretty crazy. So the ZR1, Z06, E-Ray, they already have pretty big carbon ceramic brakes, but these new ones are 10 piston front and 6 piston rear, and they're 16.5-inch rotor carbon ceramics front and rear. Typically, you see big front rotors and smaller rear rotors because the front brakes do most of the braking, not on the J59 brake package. So the front and rear rotors are both massive 16.5-inch. They saw 1.9 Gs of deceleration from 180 miles an hour down to 120 miles an hour. Now that is going to be standard, that braking package on the ZR1X. I believe it's from Alcon, but they will be an option on the regular ZR1. Obviously massive rotors, 10 piston front, 6 piston rear, but I think the craziest thing is they're putting the same size rotors on the front and the back. I don't think I've seen another street car that has that kind of braking setup. Maybe like a Bugatti Chiron. I actually have no idea what the brakes are on that kind of thing, but that's pretty ridiculous. So it will definitely be able to stop very effectively. Now, a couple natural questions about the ZR1X. Why isn't it called the Zora? In case you're not familiar, Zora, he was essentially known as the father of the modern day Corvette. I believe he always had wanted to do a mid-engine one, and on the cars, like on my Z06, there's a little like Zora head icon kind of thing. But the answer that we got was they just developed it, wanted to call it the ZR1X, meant to be a family member, like a sibling to the ZR1, so that's the name. It leads to some interesting thoughts. I'm wondering, is X going to become a package? So will there be a Z06X? Will they electrify the Z06? If they do that, that's like, I mean, that would be awesome, right? Naturally aspirated V8 flat plane crank revving all the way out with the electric hybrid all-wheel drive for more traction, more torque down low. I had ruminated about that, wondering if that would be a cool combination available. So it's possible, but as of now, it's just ZR1 and ZR1X at the very top. It's not going to be called the Zora. In terms of the aero package, right? So you can get the ZTK carbon aero package. Those two are bundled together just like on the ZR1, but you can also order this without the big carbon aero. So you can have essentially the ZR1X Touring with 1250 horsepower, the low wing. That's how you get the max top speed. So it's very similar to the ZR1. They kind of mirror each other. Tire package is the same way. Standard PS4S, you go up to the Cup 2Rs with the ZTK. Now, you're going to add a little bit of weight. That battery is very small, but you have electric motors and a bit more of that complexity. So they say it's about 180-ish pounds more than a ZR1. ZR1X dry weight is 3875, 4,100 pounds curb weight. With 1,250 horsepower, that power to weight ratio is plenty healthy. You'll also note that they do not give a combined torque figure. It's because the 828 pound-feet of torque from the twin-turbo flat-plane crank V8 and the electric motor 145 pound-feet of torque, they're different, right? So they don't match up exactly. It happens when you have a gasoline engine, an internal combustion engine, and an electric motor powertrain. They don't stack up. So the peak isn't, you can't just sum both of them together and say it's got 1,000 whatever pound-feet of torque. Suffice to say, there's still more than enough torque, clearly down low, acceleration off the line. It will be plenty powerful. This will be a 2026 model year vehicle, and they have not stated the price quite yet. I'm sure that will come soon. But we can guess, we can speculate. The ZR1 starts at just under $175,000, and for a 1,064 horsepower sports car, supercar, that's a bargain. Like, that is an absolute bargain. When you tack on ZTK and carbon aero, that's about $10,000. Even a higher option, 3LZ HTC convertible with ZTK, carbon ceramic brakes, all those things added together. I mean, they're in the low 200s for a ZR1, and that's an unbelievable value. The ZR1X, I think it's got to be... I estimated high with the ZR1, and I was shocked when it was under $200,000. Like, you can get that car with ZTK for under 200 grand, which is crazy at MSRP. Obviously, we're going to be battling markups. We already seen some of the markups on the ZR1. Imagine markups on ZR1X, because I only imagine they get rarer and rarer as they go from Z06 to ZR1 to ZR1X. But like around $250, no matter what, any price under $300,000, the ZR1X is going to be the bargain supercar hypercar of the century. When they did a presentation that I got to sit in and watch, this is the competitive set that Chevrolet and Corvette say they're targeting. The ZR1X, and they pulled up the Ferrari F80, the McLaren W1, and the Porsche whatever hypercar TBD. the price tags like $3.5 million, two something $million, Porsche, who knows? They're $1 million price tags. And the power figures, it's like, we're pretty close to them, right? Similar powertrain combination, hybridized, massively powerful internal combustion engine, wild arrow, extremely capable. And it really starts to make you question what you're getting when you go up a tier. The hypercars, it's hard, right? There's a lot of brand prestige and valuation when you go to something like a McLaren W1. You're following the lineage of the F1, the P1, the W1, the F80, the LaFerrari, the Enzo, and on and on. That I know that's hard from a holistic standpoint, but from a pure objective performance, value for your money, the capabilities, the engineering, what you're getting, yeah, it's going to stack up against it. You pull up next to a Ferrari SF90, I'm pretty sure you're just going to blow the doors off of that thing. Lamborghini Revuelto. I think that might make more sense to be the natural target, but they already kind of did that with the ZR1. I remember they're like, we're going to go up against these cars, and they're 4 times the price already. So with the ZR1X, they're like, let's go up another tier and go up against proper hypercars. They say this is America's first hypercar. Hypercar and supercar definitions get very amorphous, right? It's a very controversial topic. You can argue and argue and argue. I do think there are other credentials required for a true hypercar. Rarity, price, and just sheer engineering ridiculousness, works of art like a Pagani with the carbon Koenigsegg's, really pushing the envelope. This hits it with performance, and there shouldn't be any doubt, any question that this is a supercar. Hypercar, borderline. I mean, it's fun to be able to talk about this, right? The fact that we have a 1,250 horsepower Corvette that eventually, I assume, if you have a lot of money and get an allocation, you can just buy one. And I'm still processing the acceleration numbers. 60 in under 2 seconds on the street, unprepped surface, quarter mile in under 9, which that's like hypercar, and that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I don't know how I feel about the name quite yet, ZR1X. My username is EddieX. Do I get some licensing fees out of that? I should probably get one. I mean, I'm halfway there already, right? I just swapped the badge out, But it's also ridiculous to think that there is going to be a C8 Corvette model with more than double the horsepower of the base car. I mean, my Z06, it's almost double the Z06's power output. It's still got a flat plane crank, V8 revving, very high. What? Yeah. I can't imagine they're going to keep pushing any further, because what more could they do? I think the ZR1 engine is pretty much like at the limit. It's got the largest turbochargers ever fitted to a production car, over 1,000 horsepower out of a flat plane crank V8 is already ridiculous. Could they make the battery bigger, up the electric motor? Do they really need to? I don't think so, because what more do you need? 0 to 60 in 1.5 seconds? Can the human brain, can the body even handle that? Right? Yeah, so that's the latest news from the world of Corvette. The ZR1X will be coming. The rumors are true. I think what they're going to be doing now is filling in other models in the lineup. So we've gotten the 2026 refresh with a new interior, new colors, more screens, and now the top of the line ZR1X. Is there space for a Grand Sport? I've argued before that Grand Sport kind of got taken by E-Ray as the more grand touring daily usable envelope. Could they do a Z06X, right, with the electric front wheel drive, with the Z06 naturally aspirated one that would kind of stand distinct from the ZR1X? You could have it in the 800-ish horsepower range, which fills in nicely. You have 600s with the E-Ray and the Z06, 800s with the Z06X maybe, and then ZR1 you're at 1,000 and then 1,250. Yeah. What do you guys think? That's pretty ridiculous news, pretty ridiculous power numbers. Let me actually pull up my notes to see if there are any other things that I think we should mention. Fun facts, they've sold more C8s already by the end of this model year than the entire C7 generation. So it's been successful going mid-engine. It's also moved it up market. Younger, more affluent and diverse people are buying it. I mean, I am a young-ish Asian guy who bought a Corvette new. And prior to that, I wasn't necessarily the target demographic. I do have my New Balance now, though, so I guess I fit in that now. But anyways, I'm just illustrating the fact that going mid-engine, more exotic, higher tier is expanding the Corvette world to new buyers. They've got the new colors, LT7E all-wheel drive, competitive set. They say it's the true hypercar. Design-wise, it looks the same. Design-wise, like I'm looking at the press photos, the B-roll videos and everything, and it looks exactly the same as a ZR1. You just have the badge, and then you got to look for that front radiator, and that's how early on we saw that there was going to be an electrified version, because they went to test at the Nürburgring, or out testing, and it's a camo car, and it looks like a ZR1, but it's got the E-Ray extra front radiator grill thing, or radiator cooler, and everybody's like, well, they're probably going to do this. It just makes sense. It makes sense. It's cool to finally see it confirmed and hear the final facts and figures and what the engineers were able to accomplish. They also planned for this model from the beginning, from the C8. They planned for the ZR1, the ZR1X. When the OEMs start designing this like entire product life cycle, they have it all planned out. I wouldn't be surprised if they already have the C9 under wraps working or whatever, right? So they knew this was going to come. It's the most powerful American performance car duo produced by an auto manufacturer. I guess they're calling it full scale because like does like SSC count, the Hennessy Venom, right? Like F5, those are some pretty powerful, but this is like a full big OEM building, just full scale vehicles. You can go to a dealership, get serviced, warranty. It's a Corvette. It has to undergo all the same strenuous testing, certification, approvals that a regular Stingray would, right? It just happens to have 1,250 horsepower. One of the chassis control guys was saying it sustained 1.3 Gs of peak acceleration. He said something about like 1 Gs of lateral and longitudinal acceleration at the same time, which like I'm like struggling to understand. What does that even mean? We talked about different drive modes, push to pass for full 1250, the upgraded brakes, the J59 with the Alcon calipers, and yeah. I am excited to hear pricing on this thing, how much it's going to actually cost. Obviously excited to experience that and see what that's like. I've been very lucky that I've gotten to drive cars at that power level. Aftermarket vehicles, like a 1,400 wheel horsepower, twin turbo R8. I've driven a Bugatti Veyron, Koenigsegg Regera, 918, McLaren P1. So like cars at this power level and performance level, they are... Your brain, like, doesn't know how to comprehend what happened. Like, you do a poll, you're like, what just happened, right? And it's blistering. And I know in today's day and age, EVs have made the power performance figures less impressive because you can buy a family sedan SUV, Rivian, I mean, 1,000-something horsepower. Oh, that's easy, right? But the thing is, with a car like this, it's the full envelope. They're more limited in scope and what they can do. You're not going to take a Model S to the Nürburgring and be able to survive a lap because the brakes can't handle it and so forth, right? This is a proper supercar, hypercar, track design, track focused. I really hope they come out with a Nürburgring time because they've been taking it, they're testing, and it's really hard to get a proper Nürburgring time because there's so many variables, weather, other manufacturers testing, all these things, right? And just stringing a lap together. It's a big accomplishment. It's expensive. So if we get a Nürburgring time, what will it do? That definitely better be under 7 minutes by far. Will it set a record? That'd be pretty cool. Anyways, I could go on and on and on about all these thoughts about the ZR1X, but super exciting news from Corvette. They have elevated it to the next level. Happy to finally have it confirmed. Cannot wait to experience it at some point. And there we go, the Corvette ZR1X. What do you guys think? Is it a hypercar? Start the debate. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.